Hi there again. Now that the 2023 Tour de France is in the history books, Tour de France fueling is trending. And several people have sent me various articles specifically of what a Tour de France rider consumes. And every single one of these articles focuses on the massive amounts of carbohydrates these athletes are consuming so that they can do their job. And it doesn't matter whether they're a general classification rider, a climber, a sprinter, or a domestique. They're eating a lot of carbs. And guess what? I'm actually not going to disagree with the articles on the fact that they need tons of calories. I'm not even going to disagree with the need for plenty of carbs at this level of sport. Surprised? Don't be. Even though I don't think they need nearly as many carbs, and my thoughts on the unintended consequences of what is literally flogging humans with essentially a ton of sugar are there. All these carbs are what is currently driving performance and competition at this level. Hey, maybe EPO wasn't such a bad idea after all. Just kidding, just kidding. Instead of context, these articles have the inference that carbs are the only way you can fuel and that you require massive amounts to do so. Just like the pros, right? In fact, the trend of late in sports has been to hydrogel your way to getting more calories in, including training the GI tract to absorb more calories during exercise, which, as I explained in another vlog, is madness. Sadly, these articles are written without the caveat of, don't try this at home. Now think about this seriously and objectively in the context of your life. Is your average power over a 5 or 6 hour ride sitting at 200 watts, let alone the 230 to 250 watts a pro is averaging over a stage? Can you sustain a 400 watt push on a climb or mash over 1200 watts to the pedals in a sprint or a breakaway time and time again over the course of a stage or the 2 to 3 weeks of a tour? Now just think about cramming all this food into your stomach and having your stomach and gut wrenching to digest it all while trying to ride at a high level. The point is, context matters. And unless you have the metabolic capacity for a pro tour level output day in, day out for 2 to 3 weeks, these articles are literally overkill. And I mean that, overkill. Once again, a one-dimensional solution for a multi-dimensional and dynamic system. So, what can you learn from these articles which you can apply to your own Rubik's Cube of health and performance? Actually, a lot. It's simply not the direct and obvious carbs, carbs, carbs. So forget these articles, forget the music bags and the intrigue over what's inside of them, forget the hype. Instead of what is trending and sexy and carby, what is important is cellular. What those pros have the unseen base of their outwardly performance is the metabolic capacity built upon fat metabolism. In order to burn those metabolic matches over 3 weeks of racing, they have built that capacity on a fat-based physiology. And that is the months of winter training you don't see or hear about, with hours of base building doing fasted rides using minimal calories to build that metabolic capacity, to generate and sustain the kind of power levels where consuming lots of carb-based calories for competition is warranted. The carbs are the iceberg, or like an iceberg. They're the icing on the cake. It's what you can see. Underneath and unseen is the fact that these guys are not just good fat burners, but great fat burners. They cannot sustain that level of effort without a decent fat burning engine that supplements those massive amounts of external carbohydrates. Even a significant portion of those massive meals of carbs gets converted into fats like triglycerides, liver fat, and not just glycogen. Just do the math. Build your metabolic capacity to where you can average 250 watts for 5 hours and have an FTP over 400 watts while getting your power to weight ratio to where you're carrying 8 to 12% body fat like a pro, and only then does the inferred advice add up and make sense in the context of competition. Now think about this. These pros have 2 to 3 times the metabolic capacity of the average cyclist. They can ride for 5 to 6 hours on little to no calories at the output levels of most cyclists. They are also young, fit males that weigh in around 58 to 68 kilograms, 150 pounds tops. And the fact is, testosterone covers up a host of metabolic sins, which allows them even more latitude to consume carbs. Fortunately, all is not lost. The one thing you can take from the pros is building your metabolic capacity, the unseen aspect of your health and performance that makes all the difference in competition and life. This is built on a physiology that burns fat and what we focus on so you can achieve what we call higher health and peak performance. In fact, our team has worked with pro tour cyclists to help them achieve just that, so they were not only able to win stages, but make the podium and feel great doing so. Check this out. This was an email I received from Romain Bardet just 4 days before his second overall finish. And the winner? Well, that was Chris Froome and his entire Team Sky, not just Chris, like Romain Bardet was the only guy, but the entire Team Sky were quietly employing fat adaptation strategies to give them that dominant edge under the guidance of Team Dr. James Morton, who's mentioned this in several interviews. The point is, the foundation of your health and performance are built on a fat-based physiology so you can build the metabolic capacity to perform on carbs when it counts in competition. Build that foundation first and foremost so you will not only get the full benefit of those strategic carbs in racing, but the robust health for that one ultra endurance event we're all signed up for called life. Now, if you really want to get started, the quickest way is to jumpstart building your metabolic capacity by grabbing a 12-pack of Vespa. And this will allow you to experience what getting back to your native performance and physiology is all about. Now, if you're curious to learn more, check out ofm.io to learn more about how you can achieve higher health and peak performance.